You know what? There's a man claimed to be the most murderous man in history. You might have several people in mind, such as Hitler. In fact, Hitler killed 20 million people in World War II, which is a significant number. However, the man we are discussing today killed 100 million people, which is 10 times more than this guy. Back in 1916, a scientist named Dr. Charles Kettering totally rocked the car industry by creating an electric starter car, Cadillac 30. Before that, starting a car was a real pain in the butt with all that hand cranking. But thanks to Dr. Charles' invention, starting a car became a breeze and his car quickly became everyone's choice, which made him very rich. But here is the thing, the electric starter car had a major issue with engine knocking. That not only meant the engine would wear out faster, but it was also super annoying. So Dr. Charles gathered his scientist crew to come up with a solution for an engine that wouldn't knock. Unfortunately, they didn't make any progress and things were looking pretty bleak. But then this guy showed up. Meet Thomas Midgley. This guy is an absolute genius. We found out that by adding tetraethyl into gasoline, we produce leaded gasoline that could silence the engine significantly. Looks like a perfect film, huh? But lead is actually highly toxic. Dr. Charles said, what? You mean add that substance that can cause heart disease, stroke and brain damage into the fuel that we daily use? This will make us earn about $3 billion. Sounds like a good idea. So, leaded gasoline was introduced in 1923 and immediately swept United States. Everyone is pumping this cheap and efficient magical fuel into their vehicle to transform their clunky engines into smoothly running machines. And this has made Thomas Midgley and Dr. Charles tons of money. And everyone thought, finally, we have the best fuel in the world. Until... let's say no. Within 2 months of operating a gasoline factory in Bayway, New Jersey, workers start show signs of lead poisoning. 5 workers end up dying. Imagine people wake up, read news and realize, oh okay, the fuel that I'm everyday using is some toxic substance that kills someone. Great, I'm probably gonna die. Several states are beginning to prohibit the sales of leaded gasoline. But Midgley always has a plan. He immediately held a press conference and did 2 things that changed everyone's mind. He took out tetraethyl and washed his hand in it. And then he sniffed the lead under his nose for 1 minute. The journalists were like, what the hell? Is this guy killing himself? But he seemed perfectly fine. Don't panic, he said. Look at this. What harm can it make? After that press conference, the world was never the same. The media latched onto Thomas Midgley demonstration, declaring that tetraethyl was not as toxic as previously thought. The public once again start filling up their cars with leaded gasoline. But what about Thomas Midgley after the press conference? Not many reporters know that he spent a year in Florida recovering from that 60-second lead poisoning. And lead? It had been discharged into the atmosphere by the exhaust pipe of the car day and night, year over year. Until 66 years later in 1986, United States finally banned the usage of leaded gasoline. From 1923, when leaded gasoline first introduced until 1986, we can't count how much lead was released into the atmosphere from tailpipes. But the estimate that over 170 million Americans alive today were exposed to high lead levels in early childhood, over half of the America's total population. In 2018, a team of researchers researched another 14,289 people in America. They found that 18% of people who die from cardiovascular disease were caused by a high concentration of lead in their blood. They also estimate that 28.7% of premature cardiovascular disease deaths every year in America, about 412,000 people, could be caused by lead exposure. Globally, the figure may approach 100 million. Most of those deaths are due to Midgley's decision to put lead in gasoline, a substance he knew firsthand was toxic. But he did it anyway to maximize profits. Although years later, Midgley invented a gas used in refrigerators, leaded gasoline still made him the most murderous man in history.